I think I want to open this to questions shortly, but I just have a couple of sentences I wanted to read, and I just want to have a true-false answer from you. And these are sentences from Steinbeck's book. So this is 52 years ago, or actually 50 years ago now. That's when it was published. He wrote the book. It was published, and one of the great things about it is that it's full of these one-liners. These really good sentences. And at one point, he goes into a hotel, and he knows that everything is sanitized. And there's a little thing over the toilet that says this has been sanitized for your protection. And he says, everyone was protecting me, and it was terrible. True or false about America?
No, totally untrue and totally unfalse.
Why is that?
Because indeed, there is an enormous way to protect yourself against nature. Americans are sometimes they're afraid of normal things, and this to cover everything and to panic about bacteria and about the wilderness. On the other hand, it is totally not true, because America it can be also a very unsafe country. It's very hard. It is very hard. When you fall, you can fall deep.
Exactly.
And we in Europe are much more cushioned, and we are used to that.
Here's another one. I'm going to do 3 of these. So I've done 1. Let's see. We'll choose. Perhaps we have overrated roots as a psychic need. Roots as in cultural roots.
No, I don't think so. I don't think so. I think you need. I disagree with him. I think that Americans are wanderers. They're moving more often than anybody else in the world. And because of that, when you look at their houses, they're full. It looks like they have lived there already for generations, while they have lived there only 5 years. I think you need roots. You see a lot of American minority groups always cultivating their roots. Even in Minnesota, I remember the Belgians had immediately built their a church like they have in Ghent, and they named also the place Ghent. They had immediately was there a Flemish pub. We visited the pub, my wife and I, and it was totally American, run by Americans, but in the same hand it was totally a Flemish pub. There was, for instance, the Germans, that was the end of the 19th century, they were so homesick, so longing for the roots, they built immediately a big statue it was a copy of this Hermansdenkmal in Ulm. That is the statue of Herman, that's the big hero against the Romans. And it was in Minnesota, it was called Herman the German. And after a few decades, it was full of bullet holes, because at every war, people were shooting at First World War, they were shooting at Herman the German, Second World War, shooting at Herman. And now just a few years ago, it is restored again.
Oh, that's good.
Herman the German.
Okay. One more. This one's a little more serious. Steinbeck is writing towards the end of the book when he feels that so much has changed and he's wondering where America is heading. He writes, "What I am mourning is perhaps not worth saving, but I regret its loss nonetheless."
What did he say exactly?
What I am mourning,
Yeah.
Grieving about that,
Yeah, I see it.
is perhaps not worth saving, but I regret its loss nonetheless.
Yeah, there's some. Yeah, there's some wisdom in that. Yes. He said it about California, isn't it?
Oh, it's actually further out in the book. It's towards the end of the.
Yeah, that is.
When he's sort of barreling towards the East Coast.
Yeah,
again.
it is also because he. Yeah, I agree totally with that, because he's mourning about his lost survival culture. The Americans changed. The beginning of my book is about that. That after the Second World War, in the 50s, something happened in America very fast. What happened later also in Europe, especially in Western Europe, and also here in Norway and the Netherlands. The society changed from a survival culture. People really had to work very hard, were poor, still in 1945, in America too, in a consumption culture. Suddenly they had everything, within 10 years' time. Suddenly they had hand mixers, electric floor cleaners, everything. It was a kind of heaven on earth, and everybody thought, what's happening now? Suddenly they had lots of money, and with that the values changed too, from survival values in consumption values. And Steinbeck's trip with his car and full of guns and tools and primitive was also a kind of rebellion against this consumption culture. His tour was also a part for himself. I want to be part of this survival culture again. So it was, and I can understand very well that he regrets it, that the survival culture, also with all the solidarity, with the directness, with less alienation than in the consumption culture, that it was gone. I understand that very well.